Well, the season is flying by already. I cannot believe we've had 3 full weeks of NFL action. And as Becca says, Josh, the injuries are piling up. Welcome to our Week 4 preview, 5th episode this season. Season 5, we've got a lot to unpack, gentlemen. An awful lot. Let's start off with Tim. We were talking off air about just how incredible it is that we were entirely wrong last week.
Yeah, man, that's what makes the NFL so fun. Like, you could say things with confidence. I went back and watched last week's episode again today, and I was like, yep, wrong on that one, on that one. And to make us feel a little bit better, we weren't the only ones saying those things, but that's what makes the NFL so good, is because there is, other than the Saints, who I think we could all agree are pretty terrible, there really is there are not too many teams that are out of it any single week. So some of these, I'm sure we'll get to them in a minute, but the Browns, they upset the Bears, they upset the Packers, the Bears upset Cowboys. I mean, there were some good upsets, and that we did not call it right. Even the Giants, I was very confident the Giants were going to get past Kansas City. I know that wasn't a shock that Kansas City won, but this is what makes the NFL fun, and this is why I like doing what we do, because you take your gut feeling, you take your background knowledge, and you try to make a prediction, and sometimes you're right and you come out looking great, and other times you're totally wrong.
Yeah, let's jump right in and let's start talking about some of the scores. The first game was a no-brainer. Buffalo Bills hosted the Miami Dolphins 31-21. As we said before, wheels are falling off of that one, so no surprise that Josh Allen and the boys were able to take care of it. Atlanta visited Carolina. This is a bit of a surprise. 30-0, Panthers win. First time in the Jonathan Gannon era that the Falcons were able to be shut out. First time. What were we going to say, Josh?
No, I was just laughing. 30-0, and then especially from the team that has been kind of the bottom team the last year and a half. It's just funny to see a 30-0 in their favor.
For those of you asking, no, Josh has not been screaming all night long. Josh has a little bit of something happening with congestion. Michael Penix, Caleb threw 2 interceptions returned for touchdowns by the Carolina Panthers. Just an ugly showing all around. Not going to spend a lot of time here. Here's a surprise. Green Bay, heavily favored to beat the Browns, losing the dog pound on a late heroic field goal. Unbelievable. 13-10. I know we all called Packers. In fact, that was one that none of us were going to. They were favored by 8.5 points. Lose by 3. Anybody have any comments about it? Obviously, this is why we play the games.
Yeah, I mean, the Browns had the number 1 defense going in. I'll say that. I mean, not making an excuse. They did have the number 1 defense going in. Green Bay lost 2 of their offensive linemen. That never helps. But I think it's just going to be, Green Bay was getting a little bit confident, talking about undefeated for the year, and I think this was a good reminder. This is why you play the games. So the Packers are the better team. I'm not saying that just as a Green Bay fan. I think just any NFL fan or observer would state that, but any team, any given Sunday.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead.
I was going to mention, I said that the Browns controlled the time of possession very well the previous 2 games, despite not having a win. In this game, they actually had 9 minutes less on offense than the Packers. So it's surprising to see they're able to hold on for so long. But obviously, you credit the defense and Myles Garrett, especially in this game against Jordan Love. Like Tim mentioned, a backup tackle, backup guard, who was drafted to play tackle, so he's playing inside, which he did not do last year. So just a lot going on there for them, and hopefully when they get their guys back, it'll be smooth going for them on offense.
Yeah, Jordan Love completed 22 of 35 passes for 210 yards, which is not bad by any means, but he was held without a touchdown. I think that's the kicker. So far, we've seen him have games with lots of touchdown passes. Let's talk about another game that was no surprise. Jacksonville held off the Texans 17-10. It did go back and forth, a little more exciting, but a very predictable game considering Jacksonville was favored by 5 and covered. Here's one I want to land on. Go ahead. You had a comment about Jacksonville.
I was going to talk about Jacksonville for a minute.
Yeah.
Just because of how poor the offensive performance was from these teams. You look at this offense and Brian Thomas, if you drafted him in fantasy a few months ago, you probably were drafting him at the end of the first round. You drafted him in the second round for sure in this upcoming, right around the start of the season. And he hasn't got a ton of production. And why is that? They lead the league in drops. A lot of problems there, obviously. But then you look at the offensive coordinator that Liam Cohen brings in, and it's Shane Waldron. And you look at where he's been in previous seasons. It was at the Jaguars, and he couldn't really get anything going with Jackson Smith and Jigba in his first year. Then you look at Roma Dunze, couldn't really get anything going in his first year with the Bears. And then you look at Brian Thomas right now, and he's struggling in his second year after his breakout year. And so all three of those guys, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Roma Dunze, they're top 5 receivers so far this season. And Brian Thomas, he's struggling. I think you look towards Shane Waldron as a reason why his number one receiver is not having big success. Obviously, he has faults and drops, but they're not scheming him up quite like he was last year.
Right. And then you mentioned Jacksonville. I mean, we could go on and on about Houston and their offense dropping off, which has just been the case. But when your quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, is your leading rusher at 45 yards, I think that says a lot about what's going on here. So let's move on. I see you're wearing the jersey, Josh. Let's talk about Carson Wentz. Carson was able to get the start and did quite well. They win 48-10 over the backup. We call it the backup quarterback bowl, didn't we?
Yeah, it wasn't going to be a great game. From the looks of it, as you're saying, 2 backup quarterbacks, Jake Browning, and then of course Carson Wentz. So we'll see if this works off again. This jersey here works out again, rather. But he didn't have to do a ton in this game because of the defense against Jake Browning. You saw Isaiah Rodgers. He had the highest graded PFF grade in a single game ever because he didn't allow any yards. He had a forced fumble, which he got himself, and he scored on. An interception was turned into a pick 6. So the defense was carrying through that game, but Carson didn't really make mistakes. And then it just doesn't get better for the Bengals because right now they have the least efficient starting running back in the league. Now you put in Jake Browning. The offensive line's already hurt and kind of not well put together. So there's a lot of holes on this team. And while we didn't expect 48-10, certainly not an ideal situation on any side of the ball for them.
No.
And I know Tim said as we started that we got a lot of things wrong, but he did get one thing right that he was saying would be a lock for him was Jordan Mason. He had a great game. He had 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, looked amazing as their lead back there. So some bright things that happened in the past week that we were technically right on, I guess.
that is true.
And I would say we've been critical, maybe not as vocal on the air as we are off the air, about J.J. McCarthy. And his ability to be a solid starter in this league. Carson Wentz, pretty pedestrian, 2 touchdowns. But, I mean, with that defense, Tim playing the way that they played, I mean, all he had to do was just play smart ball, and he did.
Yeah. I mean, and that's exactly what he did. You notice that they scored 5 of the last 6 possessions. That anytime a team does that, they're going to win the game, unless they're like down monumentally. But holding Chase Brown to 3 yards, that's huge. I mean, and the defense looked good. Bengals turned over 5 times, 3 fumbles, 2 interceptions. I mean, that's crazy. So, I mean, if your defense is at that level, all you need the quarterback to do is protect the ball. And Carson Wentz did just that. And if they can continue to play at that level, J.J. McCarthy might not see the field again the rest of this year, honestly. Really.
Yeah, which would probably be just fine. Okay, let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. They went to New England. The Pittsburgh Steelers defense, they allowed 14 points while forcing 5 turnovers, including 3 interceptions. They win the game 21-14. 21 points should win most games, but for once the defense in Pittsburgh stood up and stopped the New England Patriots. This game also looked way closer throughout. It was never a foregone conclusion that Pittsburgh was going to win, at least not in my mind, Josh. It looked like it took a little bit to get going, but Aaron's finally starting to get a rhythm, wouldn't you say, with some of those young receivers?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the yardage isn't there for their number one target, DK Metcalf. You see him trying to get to Pat Freiermuth, but it's not really a smooth connection there so far. But Calvin Austin is the highlight connection there with big plays, big touchdowns. And it looks like they're slowly getting it together. But like you mentioned, 21 points, for the Steelers, that has not been a win or a situation where they would win the last few games because they've allowed 30 in the previous 2 games. But yeah, you're seeing them come together a little bit more, and their defense finally put up some stops. And it's once again another game where all the running back plays went to the opposite side of TJ Watt. I don't know if y'all saw that chart, but all the running backs straight to the left, opposite of TJ Watt. And then just one more mention is the running backs for the Patriots in this game fumbled. I think Ramondre twice, Antonio Gibson once, and then immediately after you saw 20-plus snaps straight to Travian Henderson, their rookie. So we might see him officially take over here soon if those fumbles continue to happen for the Patriots.
Yeah, and
You know who's got to be the happiest guy? Go ahead, Caleb. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. If you're a Steelers fan, I would not worry. Their defense looked rough the first few games. It's Peyton Wilson's first year technically as the full-time starter. Nick Herbig's filling in, starting. Your secondary is completely different than it was last year, and they're finally gelling, it looks like. They lost Minka Fitzpatrick. So a lot of changes that needed to be addressed. A lot of them didn't play in preseason. So if I'm a Steelers fan, I wouldn't be worried about this going forward. I think they fixed it. Go ahead, Tim.
You know who's happy? Jabril Peppers. Jabril Peppers was cut
Yes.
by New England a few weeks ago. Plays against him and has, I think it was 6 tackles, forced fumble. So he had a heck of a game. I agree with what you guys are saying. If I'm Pittsburgh, this was a good bounce back game for them after what happened last week against Seattle.
Well, we've said
I do recall. Sorry.
Yeah.
You had a more important point. I was going to say something about Jabril Peppers.
No, go ahead. Because I'm going to move on as soon as I'm finished.
No, I was going to say I remember watching that draft with T.J. Watt, and of course Myles Garrett was the feature edge rusher there. But I remember the Steelers not getting the chance to get Jabril Peppers because I believe that the Browns that drafted him or whoever drafted him right before the Steelers, and I was upset they didn't get Jabril Peppers. But of course, the result is getting a top 3 edge rusher otherwise. So worked out, but to have them both on the team now is certainly exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to add that, like, we live in an era now in football. I've said this, it might just be my opinion, but I feel like, especially with the preseason games not being played. In other words, it used to be Tim, your starters would get like a series, then they'd get a quarter, then they'd get a half,
Yeah.
and then they'd rest.
Work your way up.
They'd rest, right?
Yeah.
And like Dan Campbell has been quoted saying, "You get in football shape by playing football." So I'm personally of the mindset that many of these guys are getting hurt because they're going full board after doing nothing. I mean, I'm not saying nothing. These guys, they're working, but I mean, they're not playing football until they're playing football these days. And that's why I think the first couple weeks can be sloppy. If you look around the league, we're looking at, Dallas isn't looking as effective as they thought. Now, granted, they have some injuries. Chiefs are being accused of being sloppy. The Ravens are accused of being, sloppy. So I'm just saying, I think it takes a few weeks anymore in the NFL to get moving,
Yeah, I agree. It's still almost like preseason. Now the real season starts. Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're right.
All right, let's move on to another game. I think I got this wrong. No, I got it right. But Philadelphia Eagles were able to defeat at home 33-26 the Rams. They had to stage a second half comeback, Caleb, more than a 10-point deficit to pull it off, and then ended up blocking a field goal to win the game. But I know we've been somewhat critical of the Eagles' success in that they're hard to evaluate. And you in particular with talking about Jalen Hurts, what was your take on this game?
I mean, they did exactly what they're supposed to do. We thought that they would come out to the season throwing the ball, which they did not do. And then they doubled down before this game, said they're going to run even more, which obviously they didn't. I think they planned to, but they fell behind pretty quick. Had to play catch up. A.J. Brown, the missing person, was found. Had a great play. I think it was an 8-yard catch that turned into like a 30-yard touchdown on the sideline. So A.J. Brown doing A.J. Brown things. Devontae Smith kind of sealed the game for them before that kick was blocked and ran back by Jordan Davis. The receivers look good. I mean, they both had, I believe, double-digit targets. They both had over 60 yards. They both had a touchdown. So if they're going to do that, and I believe Jalen Hurts threw over 30 times, which is the most for the season. So, and now you have Nick Sirianni saying, we're going to throw this much every game. So you don't know with them. You don't know what they're going to do. They just like talking. They know everyone's watching them and listening to them. So I don't know.
So, Tim, the Rams had a 2013 lead at halftime, but obviously collapsed in the second half. Your take on this game?
Yeah, well, the craziest stat, I'm sure, I don't know if you guys have seen this, the yards gained by Philly. Let's talk about this for a second. First half, they gained 33 yards the entire first half, and passing yards, -1 in the first half. That's wild. The Philadelphia Eagles, the world champion, Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, -1 passing yard. I think, we've had a few games the first few weeks where you talk about moral victories. I thought, the Jets kind of had a moral victory in week 1 where or they hung with the Steelers. There's another. The Dallas had a moral victory. I thought, the Rams should have won this game. The Rams were there, right there. But if you're a Rams fan, you're walking away going, I think we might even be the better team, or if not, we're right there with them. So I think if you're a Rams fan, you can walk away. No one likes to say they got a moral victory in the NFL. We know there's no such thing. But as a fan, it's a good measuring stick, right? You can say we're right there with them. They should have had it. They definitely should have had that game, especially you hold a team to -1 passing yards and 33 yards total in a half. You've got to win that game. But yeah, they're right there.
Go ahead.
No,
I'm
go
still
ahead.
worried about the Eagles, though. I wouldn't be confident as an Eagles fan because, quote unquote, good teams, Dallas was way too close. The Chiefs are a bad team, in my opinion. We'll talk about that later. But the Rams are a good team, and it was so close at home. I mean, it's just they were getting beat. If it was one half of football, they would have lost that game, obviously. But it's a coaches' league, and it changes. But I'm not confident in the Eagles still. I know I never have been. I feel like they've always kind of it's not luck, but it's just weird. It doesn't make sense really. They kind of just will these games into their favor.
Josh, let me piggyback off what I think they're saying here. The Eagles beat the Cowboys by 4, not their most impressive win. They beat the Chiefs by 3. And they do. I think it's a great. I mean, this is a huge comeback to come back with 20 unanswered points to win the game. But my point is, all 3 games have been close. So, to Caleb's point, are they really not playing as good a football as we think they are, considering that they're really, a score away from losing every one of these games? Or is that their MO?
Yeah. I mean, it looks like that's what's going to be going on this year. I mean, 3 games straight of that. You can credit the Cowboys for their faults in week 1. The Jake Ferguson touchdown that was dropped, the Miles Sanders fumble, the CeeDee Lamb drops. You can credit a lot of things as to, the Eagles getting away. Like Tim was saying, a moral victory for the Cowboys. The Eagles got away with that win. They didn't necessarily win that game. Same thing with the Chiefs is Travis Kelce had that touchdown in the end zone. He didn't catch it. It bopped it up in the air, and then it became an interception. There's another. They could be 0-2 at that point, and then you look at this game, like Tim said once again, no yards in the first half, which is surprising because they're such a strong first half team.
Yeah.
And then for the Rams essentially to turn into nothing in that second half was surprising. But I don't think it's fixed their passing game issues. Jalen Hurts specifically picked on, I believe it was Williams and Emmanuel Forbes. We know that aren't two excellent corners. People are going to pick on Emmanuel Forbes, a first-round pick, but immediately cut by the Commanders the next year. So there was a weakness there, and they targeted it, and they took care of it. But Jalen Hurts didn't have a passing touchdown until this game. He has 3 now, making up for that. So 1 a game still not enough to get by. But you look at the names that have less passing yards than Jalen Hurts right now. You have Jaden Daniels, who's missed time now. Jake Browning, who's obviously not started every game so far this year. J.J. McCarthy, Brock Purdy, Tyrod Taylor, Justin Fields, Marcus Mariota, Joe Burrow, Carson Wentz. So everyone under him are people that have missed time. So right now he's the NFL's lowest rated passer, yardage, touchdowns. Other than Cam Ward, I think he's the least amount of passing touchdowns. So it's a problem there. They were able to take care and take advantage of that defense that the Rams have. They've been a great defense, but they took care of those holes and those problems. And so, yeah, it doesn't look good for them going forward. I would say, you can't just assume that they're going to have an easier matchup and they can just target it at will and they're going to score and come back and win the game. These games have been way too close for comfort for them, and they need to really do something to change that up because we still haven't really seen Saquon Barkley take over at the same level that he was last year, so they can't lean on him as much as they were.
Yeah, I mean, I am not going to play the, Ferguson or CD make those catches or they get called for illegal formation and it's a different thing. I'm not going to do that. They are Super Bowl champions. Yeah. They deserve their wins. So let's just see how this plays out. Yeah. 2 games I want to touch on.
It's fair to say, if they lost those games,
right,
like they easily could have. I know this is speculative and, people might not like that, too much speculation. What happened is what happened. But
Philly, if that was the case.
If they were 0-3, 1-2 like the Chiefs, are we saying they're as bad as the Chiefs?
Yeah.
It's just they're not stout in the areas that they were last year.
Yeah, you're right, Dave. Sirianni's gone. Yeah.
I mean, we live in a world where, you talk about quarterback and coach pairings, because I mean, obviously, you think of Andy Reid, you think of Pat Mahomes, and now you got Herbert already synonymous with Harbaugh, and not the case in Buffalo, but it's not because of relationship. This is a proven estranged relationship where coach and quarterback get along by virtue of getting along.
Estranged.
And that's odd. That's odd, to see that type of. So I don't know. I've said this for 3 years on this podcast. I can't evaluate the Eagles. Like I could tell you problems and goods and bads with other teams. I don't understand how they can win. And when you look at some of the numbers, when Jalen Hurts doesn't throw for 100 yards, when they don't hit A.J. Brown, when Saquon doesn't go off, and they're winning football games, those are formulas for disaster. So I just, no disrespect to the world champion Philadelphia Eagles, I just don't know how to evaluate them personally. I don't know what to say. Let's talk about something I do know how to evaluate, and that's a 75-yard game-winning drive that set up a field goal where Baker Mayfield and the boys in Tampa beat the Jets 29-27. Guys, I want to land here and with the Indianapolis game because I have a little confession to make. I can't believe I'm saying this. 41-20, Colts beat Tennessee. I'm starting to believe a little bit in Daniel Jones. I'm starting to believe. I mean, I know, and you guys are probably just threw up in your mouth. I know, I saw you, but I'm not saying that he is, the second coming of Peyton Manning or anything. I'm simply saying he seems to be getting it done. Multiple touchdown games, 300-yard games. I mean, I don't know, Caleb. You look surprised that I'm saying this, but I'm just starting to believe that maybe this guy's maybe getting a little rhythm. That's all I'm saying.
He's playing like Jalen Hurts did when Steichen was with him, and he was MVP candidate, and they went to the Super Bowl and lost.
Would that be a huge win for the Colts if they go to the Super Bowl and lose?
Yeah, but Daniel Jones, he's playing pretty mistake-free. He's playing in that system great. I think if Richardson didn't have the injury that he had and all the mistakes that he had following that, he would be starting there. I think they're not tied to Daniel Jones. Obviously, he's performing. He's doing great. He's probably going to be an MVP candidate if he keeps it up, which is weird. It's very weird to say.
Tim,
they do have the number one running back in the league, though.
They do.
Their offense is not a bunch of corpses that it was last year. They're actually receivers. O-line's always been good for the last 5 years. And their defense, their secondary stepped up. Their defense overall is way better than it has been. And Schrader, their kicker, has been great. I mean, just overall better team. They're healthy. A lot going into it more than just Daniel, but I like Daniel Jones this year too.
Tim, I know Josh has an opinion, so I want to get him last. But what I see you smiling. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. So I love Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor is amazing. Leading the league in rushing right now. He's a huge part of that offense. Even when he's not touching the ball, he creates a distraction.
I think
so far they played Miami, which we all know Miami's a bad team. They won 33-8. Okay, so that was a little bit surprising because we didn't know what we were getting. They played Denver. They won 29-28. They barely squeaked by that game. And Denver's a good team. I think we would agree Denver's a good team, but not a great team yet, but they're a good team. And then they played the Titans, who I think they're young. I don't think they're good yet. I have a feeling, again, I'm not going to say anything with confidence after last week, but I have a feeling that this could be the team that we look back on in week 12 when we're filming this in December, that we go, man, do you remember that the Colts started 3-0, man? What happened? And I'll tell you what happened. They played real teams. I think that they started playing some tough. They've got the Chargers coming up. They got the Rams coming up. They got the Raiders. Again, we don't know about the Raiders, but they got the Steelers. They've got Kansas City. So I'm curious to see. I'm kind of in the category of I want to see more to believe.
Yeah.
That's where I'm landing on right now. Although no denying Daniel Jones has definitely exceeded expectations. There's no denying that.
That's my whole point right there. Nothing more than that. He's exceeded expectations, and I'm starting to believe he can get it done. But I'm with you 100%, Tim. All right, Josh. I know Jonathan Taylor is amazing, and he makes this team, his run where he broke away and just spun away from every tackler was ridiculous.
Yeah, and we can leave it at that, right?
We can move on if you want.
No. I mean, It's a great start for the Colts. Of course, it's their best start in eternity. 103 points through the first 3 games is the most they've ever put up in their first 3 games. I think their 1 punt in their first 3 games. It's the best stretch since like the 40s or the 50s or something ridiculous. So, like Tim's saying, they're not just some monster team necessarily. They do have some advantages in their matchups and the quarterbacks and the people that they're playing against, of course. But yeah, of course, you credit Daniel Jones right now. He's third in passing yards. Like Caleb said, playing similar to what Jalen Hurts was doing in that Shane Steichen system. He has 3 passing touchdowns. He has several rushing touchdowns as well. So you may not see that just looking straight up at his passing numbers, but he's also the most efficient passer in the NFL right now beyond Lamar Jackson with 9.3 yards per attempt. So almost a first down every single time he's passed the football. And of course, that's just ridiculous. He's only thrown the ball 88 times and they're putting up these types of numbers. So extreme efficiency there. And like you mentioned, you look at the running game, Jonathan Taylor. I've been selfish in drafting him every year. I've just kind of taken him in the first round regardless, just because it feels good. And if he's injured, oh well, but it works out, and I'm fortunate. But you look at his as the RB1, leading the league in rushing right now. You compare that to Saquon Barkley last year. This is from Scott Barrett on X. Jonathan Taylor's last 6 games, if you compare him to Saquon Barkley's average last year, he has more carries, more yards, more receiving yards, more touchdowns per game. So right now he's on a stretch to be at least similar or exceed Saquon Barkley based off of his previous 6 games going back to last year. So it's exciting there. The offensive line's healthy. Quentin Nelson we're finally seeing after a few years of kind of being not at the high-end level of guard play is back at the top so far this year. So it's exciting. Their defense playing well. They do have some injuries there now, and we'll see how they figure that out. But certainly an exciting time to be a Colts fan. I think I said the exact words last week. But as the matchups come, we'll see them be more human.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, real quick, I think other than Herbert, maybe Josh Allen, Jonathan Taylor looks like a real MVP candidate. I know it's really early, but we've seen running backs get it in the past, and it wouldn't be surprising if he can keep this up and stay healthy that he would be considered one of the best players in the league this year.
Well, are we finally going to get out of quarterbacks on the people that can be MVPs? I feel like, we've gone on this thing where nobody's getting recognized.
I know. Backs
few and far between.
Yeah.
Few and far between. All right. Without their starting quarterback, the Washington Commanders were able to pull out a win. Marcus Mariota looked great. 41 points versus the Raiders, 24 points. Commanders win. Josh, you want to unpack that a little bit? Anything stand out? More injuries piling up for teams these days, as it looks like Daniels could be out for the next couple weeks.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels out, of course. Their running game, they're still trying to figure out. Jeremy McNichols ran into the middle of the line and then suddenly pops out for a full field touchdown. So Bill, Chris Rodriguez, it's all kind of mixed up there. And then their receiving core, I think, Terry McLaurin's injured right now. We'll see what they say about him in this coming week. But, of course, that's a problem when they can only really rely on Deebo Samuel. And then, so you have Marcus Mariota. I think their next game is the Falcons, so at least it's a revenge game for him there. So that'll be fun to see. But defensively, I think Will Harris is out as well. They picked up, I don't remember who it was, another 30-year-old safety to replace him.
They're getting older.
They keep patchworking that defense, and so we'll see how it goes for them moving forward. There's been a lot of struggles for those Raiders and their offensive line right now. Obviously, if you have Ashton Genty, you know of the issues there just because he's slowly getting the ball more and they're not really blocking very well. I think he has more yards after contact than he has yards. So obviously a problem there. And then a matchup to look forward to for the Raiders is Geno Smith just going to throw 400 yards every game because they're playing catch up. They can't run the ball very well. So it revealed a lot to us for these two teams.
Yeah, weird analogy. I feel like the Commanders are like a early 2000s Honda Accord that just got a new paint job, and it has 300,000 miles in it. It might be able to take you there, but you won't be surprised if it just breaks down right now. I feel like that's how they are right now. I'm leaning towards that they break down. It's not consistent. It can't be consistent there's patchworking older players with older players. All their stars are getting hurt. Terry McLaurin, as of right now, is doubtful to play with a quad injury, so not looking too great for them. And like we said, Daniels is out. So offensively, Deebo Samuel, which is not my I'm not betting on that one. So I don't know how this team's going to go going forward.
Yeah, Tim, your takeaway?
Yeah, I'll piggyback off everything both guys said, but I'll also just add in the defense again. The defense looked good, but the Raiders' offensive line looked terrible. You know, they only allowed Ashton Genty was only able to get 63 yards, I think. They gave up 5 sacks on Geno Smith. So the defense looked good. Again, this is one of those. Was it that the Washington's defense was so good, or Raiders was so bad? Offensive line was so bad. Probably a little bit of both. But yeah, I am concerned long term for Washington with these injuries and being. Are they the oldest team in the NFL? Did we say that they are the? I knew they're one of, but okay, yeah.
One more thing about Genty, if you drafted him in fantasy, sorry, but it's not his fault. In this game, he had negative yards available when he got the ball in his hands. So he was already getting tackled while he was running. So the offensive line helped him 0. He had negative yards to start. So he got 60 yards from literally nothing. So you should feel good about that. Hopefully they get some help. They trade for somebody. Healthy players come back. It's not Genty's fault. So bear with him.
Couple scores I want to give you before we land again. Just 2 quick ones. Seattle, no surprise, were able to beat the Saints. The Saints are simply terrible. 44-13, Seattle unloads on them. San Francisco 49ers, in the battle of the undefeated in their division, they were able to get the win 16-15, but at the cost of possibly losing Joey Bosa for a while. So those 2 games were very predictable. In fact, I'll throw the Chief Giant. What's that?
Nick Bosa.
Nick Bosa. Joey Nick. One's really good, the other's kind of good. I get it. The Chiefs. One other game that I think we all predicted, it was kind of a no-brainer, even though they kind of looked a little sputtery. The Chiefs were able to beat the Giants 22-9. Again, no surprise there. I think the only surprise out of this, and we knew this was going to come sooner or later, maybe when they got to Week 5 against the Saints, but do you have a heart for Dart? Because after the loss, we got a new starting quarterback in New York. Caleb, we talked about a little offline. You don't think it's the best move right now?
No, I think the season's already in the can for them. There's no point in rushing him out. It's just, I mean, you can argue get him reps now, but you can also argue that if he's terrible, they're going to move on from him. I just don't like rushing quarterbacks out. We talked about it in the past about Richardson and other quarterbacks. Just have him sit. Russell Wilson's a veteran. He's good enough. I'm sure he could coach him up and teach him some things. I just don't like, I don't know, the fast money version of drafting players. It just doesn't work.
Tim?
As a Packers fan, I say amen to that. Yeah, seriously. I mean, come on. When are these teams going to realize this? They're just burning through quarterbacks. And Caleb's exactly right. Okay, throw Jaxson Dart out there. What happens if they don't have a winning season? Do they sit there and go, all right, well, it's time to move on from him already? You're ruining these young guys. Let them sit behind. We were just talking last week, like literally 1 week ago, 7 days ago, of how good Russell Wilson looked. Like you can't be. And I think we said this 2 episodes ago, where the Giants as an organization can be disciplined enough to not ride the roller coaster and be swept up in 1 week of emotions. This is a big mistake. Not because Jaxson Dart's not good, not because they might win and he might provide a spark, but I don't think it's the right move long term. I don't.
Josh?
Yeah, and I think the biggest reason for this move is they want structure. Russell Wilson, for whatever reason, it seems like with the Steelers, he was kind of just doing his own thing there, kind of running his own offense in a lot of ways. He usually throws the ball outside to the sideline, usually not an interior passer. And you saw in this game, even it was 4th and short, and he's going for a 50-yard pass. It's like, buddy, we need 3 yards. You know, let's do something that isn't just hero ball, layering it down the field, or just tossing up a Hail Mary or something. So you saw the interception on a deep pass that didn't need to happen, and then the 4th and short where he threw the ball deep. And so Jaxson Dart, if they can put him out there early, he's going to try to make, obviously, the play football and get the least amount of mistakes possible. So that's going to be with a lot more, I believe, shorter design plays, just to get through the offensive, just get through the playbook and not have Russell Wilson just launched it down the field. So I think they're going to try their best to contain Jaxson Dart. I think this is possibly one of the worst matchups to get him to start in against the Chargers upcoming. The game after he gets the Saints. So watch Russell Wilson lose against the top level defense, and they'll be like, oh yeah, Jaxson Dart, and put him against the Saints. Not, here you go, buddy. You've never played in your life in the National Football League. Go get clobbered by this Chargers defense. I think it's the wrong time, like you guys have mentioned, but I just think they're tired of Russell Wilson and his hero ball, because it works out for the Cowboys game, and it was just nothing against a Chiefs team that really wasn't doing anything, and a game they clearly could have competed and won in.
We say
why
it works
do you even
out.
bring him in then? Why even bother bringing him in if you're only going to give him a 2-week leash or a 3-week leash? Why even do that?
And he got paid.
Well, 2 veterans. They brought in Jameis Winston as well. Like, why waste these?
Right?
You look at what they did. They got Jameis first, and everyone's like, okay, they got Jameis to start. They might draft a rookie. But then they got Russell Wilson. It's like, oh, well, I guess they didn't think Russell Wilson would be available because the Steelers were still talking to him. So they got both dudes. And then they were like, well, I guess we'll get Jaxson Dart because we didn't think he'd be here. It's very sloppy organization and moves there.
Maybe they're trading Russell Wilson somewhere. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. They have no use for him, right? I mean, are they really going to pivot back?
Is he going to go to the Browns, the Bengals?
I mean, no and no.
No.
Maybe.
Because the Bengals had a chance to bring in quarterbacks. Instead, they took White and somebody else to the practice squad. I know. Let's talk about teams that have 2 good quarterbacks. One didn't exactly show up, and the other one did. The Browns upset the Dallas Cowboys 31-14. No surprise to some people that doesn't believe the Bears. I'm still delusional about the score. The Bears beat the Cowboys 31-14. And a little disappointing to say the least. I was trying to look up while I was talking. That's what distracted me. What the line was last week for Dallas. I believe it was only 1.5. It was only 1.5. But I don't know where to begin. Again, you lose CeeDee Lamb. That's impactful. Pickens drops 1 that would have got him within a score. Again, for the last 3 weeks with Dallas, it's woulda, coulda, shoulda. They need to get it done. A lot of injuries on defense. No one can cover. We lost our center last week. We lost a guard this week. There's a lot going on in Dallas that's not productive. Go ahead, Caleb.
Yeah, I think it's obviously Lamb getting out in the first quarter is terrible. He tried to play through it, and they rolled him out in the second quarter. Obviously, any team that loses their best player is going to struggle. But then everyone knows just stop George Pickens. And that's what it turned into. He did nothing in the second half. He had 68 yards, which is weird. He had 9 targets, 5 catches, 68 yards, and a touchdown. The exact same stats as the game before, which is weird. Yeah. So bank on that line for him. But like we said last week, DaRon Bland being out, Dallas can't cover anybody without DaRon Bland. And it's proven. We watched Russell Wilson throw almost 500 yards against him. And now Caleb Williams throwing almost 400 yards against them. So not good. Eberflus needs to do something, move people around, get another DB in there, because with one player's out and your entire defense is broken, there's a problem.
Yeah, Tim, your thoughts?
Yeah, 249 yards for Caleb Williams in the first half. Luther Bird in the third, over 100 yards. They gave up 12 plays of 25 yards or more in the last 2 weeks. That's insane. 12 plays of 25 yards or more in 2 weeks. Yeah. You're talking big plays there. Caleb said it. I couldn't have said it any better myself. If you lose one guy and that breaks your entire defense, we got a problem. That's not a well-constructed defense. So I'm more concerned about the defense in Dallas than offense. You've got the weapons on offense, but you're going to have to score 48 each week if we keep going at this rate.
Yeah, I think on offense, though, now we're 3 linemen down, essentially. So that's never good when you lose one. One's a center, guard, But, no excuse. I know Dak was frustrated that they sat him, but at the time when they sat him, there were 2 scores down. His mindset is if George caught one, well, they're actually more than that, but if George caught one with the time they had, he thought he could have gone back down and made it a game. But, no, I just think it's too much. I don't, however, think that that we've seen enough from the Bears to say that their offense is clicking or working. I attribute it more to Dallas's inability to cover anybody at all, period. And anyone should put up 31 on us. Do we want to unpack it more, or can we move on to a more important game?
Well, I would like to say something.
Sure.
You guys mentioned the numbers of the quarterbacks that played against him. I think on average, that's produced a top 2 quarterback the last 2 weeks, Russell Wilson and Caleb Williams against this defense. Obviously, those are the 2 games without Deron Bland. But of course, it hasn't been, these chunk plays where the receivers are really winning against these DBs. It's stuff like Trayvon Diggs trying to get the jam on whoever it was it Roma Dunze? And then he slips and falls, and it's just over aggressive. And it's just, you see it not work out in their favor in ways like that. So obviously there needs to be a fix there, coaching wise, but also they're relying on guys like Reddy Stewart to play for Deron Bland, and guys like Kyrie Elam, who they traded for, and yes, he was a first-round pick at one point, but he hasn't started for quite some time. You're expecting a lot from these guys off of, perceived talent and perceived experience and technique, and so there's problems there. Trayvon Diggs has been in and out for, it feels like, 3 years now, and he's hurt again. So that's just a bigger problem for them. But like you said about the Bears, Caleb Williams right now has 59 completions, 715 yards, 7 touchdowns to 1 interception. So I know their offense doesn't look ideal. Their offense doesn't look completely intact and together and perfectly ran, but they're certainly getting good results, and they're not turning over the football. Their running game is pretty poor. There's things to look forward to, but they're not necessarily playing at a bad level or as bad as it looked the previous 2 games. Of course, they get the bounce back against the Cowboys, but any other thoughts on this game?
Yeah, everybody's right. Like, until Dallas does something, not to mention that this is a brand new scheme for a lot of these players. Learning Eberflus's scheme is different. And, from what I was reading today coming out of Dallas, there's just a lot of blown assignments, in the wrong place, the wrong time. There's a lot of stuff that's still, a lot of stuff going on in Dallas. So let's move on to the last 2, the Broncos and Chargers. Chargers were able to get the win, 23-20. Bo Nix and the boys brought it. This was a good game. If you're into division rivalries and you're into these young quarterbacks, which we are, then you got a good game out of this one. It was a coaching game. It was a quarterback game. It was a defensive game. It had a lot to offer. It was a what?
Running back game.
I mean, ultimately, Tim, I think this was what we expect to see out of a division rival. And as much as this game means everything for them, it almost means nothing because they're going to face each other again, and maybe even in the playoffs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's your takeaway?
Yeah, great teams. I think Chargers are looking good. My concern, Justin Herbert was pressured, I believe it was 29 times, sacked 5 times. He's great. He's such a good quarterback to watch, but you can't, I don't care what quarterback it is, and he is a top quarterback, but you can't allow that many pressures. It'll be interesting to see now. No Najee Harris, Amari and Hampton's now their RB1. Yeah, I'm curious to see. I think both these teams will be there at the end of the season. That was my prediction before this season. I think both of them will still be playoff teams, but yeah, they're both good teams.
Caleb?
Yeah.
You can go, Josh. Go ahead. You got it.
I was going to say Justin Herbert is now leading the league in passing with 860 yards. The reasons I picked the Broncos in that game, obviously not work out for me there, but the reason I chose them is because of the big play potential against this younger secondary and this injured secondary. Cam Hart missed this game. I think they had St. Just. Was it St. Just? Somebody that came from a previous team filled in for him and made some plays there. But you saw the big shots that the Broncos took, I think just outside of the fingertips of 3 different receivers, or Marvin Mims twice and Troy Franklin. They had several big play opportunity there that they missed out on. And so they've had the shots available to them. They just need to get things clicking for them and getting those completions out, because the Broncos had an opportunity to take this game.
All right, you're up. Bring us home.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Cortland Sutton looked good. J.K. Dobbins looked good. Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnson, Marion Hampton has a breakout game. Just both great teams. It was a great game to watch, and I think the Chargers have the edge here a little bit.
Yeah, they were favored 2.5, covered the 3. I mean, it was just a fantastic game. All right, last game, and then we're going to move on and start talking about our preview. I know we're running a bit behind. 38-30. If you were up last night watching this game, which I stayed up, Josh, believe it or not, I was listening to
East
it.
Coast.
Yeah, I mean, I did. Surprised that the Lions are able to beat the Ravens. Anybody? I know. Again, looking at this line, Baltimore's 5.5-point favorites at home. Again, another game kind of like the game out west where they're kind of going back and forth for a minute, then they both fail for a minute, then they both kind of, I don't know. I thought both quarterbacks looked sharp at times, and then both quarterbacks missed some drives. So, I mean, what does this mean? What's your takeaway, Josh, from this game?
Yeah, the Lions were just clicking. They're doing well. Yeah, David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, I think collectively they lead the league in rushing as a team when you compare team to team, of course. I think David Montgomery had the longest run of the season so far with 72 yards. They were able to run their offense and do it well. Jameson Williams, I think in his career, has only 2 or 3 games with 5 or more receptions, so not a high target volume there for him. And he didn't get there either in this game, but the threat of his upside and his big playability was certainly threatening against that secondary that was missing Jair Alexander. And then the biggest thing for the Ravens, I believe, was just Derrick Henry fumbling once again for a 3rd game in a row. In a crucial situation. He's been able to run well. Right now, he's 4th in rushing. He's had big plays. He started off the game with a big, long touchdown. It's just a concern there when they're keeping it close and then they just slowly let it slip away and on defense and offensively through fumbles.
Caleb?
Yeah, Lamar Jackson, he was sacked, I think, 6 times in this game, which is not like Lamar Jackson. I think the Lions front 7 played out of their minds. Derek Barnes has been one of their best players this year, and then obviously Hutchinson and Jack Campbell and all those guys. But a lot of unforced errors. Well, you can argue forced errors, the Derrick Henry fumble, but it's a lot of problems. I don't know if it's coaching or just sloppy play, but the Ravens, they lose these games themselves. They don't really get beat. I know David Montgomery had a career game against them, but the Ravens had this game, in my opinion. They just gave it up, literally.
And Tim, looking at the team now, we've said, I'm a wait and see guy. I want to see what it looks like when they lose an offensive coordinator. If I'm looking at the last 2 games, doesn't seem like they missed a beat. Your take on this?
Yeah, by far the best game of the season for Detroit, and that's an impressive win on the road to go into Baltimore and to hang with them. They could have easily, just kind of gotten one of those moral victories. They were right there with Baltimore on the road, but no, they didn't pack it in and they kept fighting. I'm curious to see. I think they're going to be there towards the end. Obviously, Detroit. I'm curious to see where Baltimore goes from here. This is the 2nd game now that Derrick Henry is. I don't want to say single-handedly. It never really does come down to just one player, but those fumbles. The Ravens should be or could be 3-0.
Yeah.
And now that their upcoming schedules: Chiefs, Texans, and I believe it's Rams. They've got some 3 big. Texans might not be as big as we thought they might be, no. but so 3 more good tests. But this is going to be an interesting season, an interesting team to watch, and a tough team to bet on. If you're a Ravens fan, I'm not sure I'm even that confident going in. They'll be there, obviously. They're still the best team in that division. But as far as going into the playoffs, you think of these teams, these games like this one, and those are the ones that keep you up at night going, I don't know how confident I am as a Ravens fan.
Yeah,
so,
no doubt.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's a lot. We've covered a lot of ground for week 3. Let's go into week 4, guys. Let's jump right in. A little surprise, Seattle Seahawks are going into this game against the Arizona Cardinals. They're both 2-1, but Seattle is only favored by 1.5. Anybody taking the underdog Cardinals? No.
Seattle has proven themselves. Seattle's looking good.
Right now, Seattle, they're allowing 15.7 points per game. They've been a top-level defense. They're leading, or they're 2nd in interceptions right now. But also the Cardinals, I know they've played, lesser quarterbacks. But They're fifth in points per allowed, or points allowed. They only allowed 17 points so far. So only 1.5 point give or take difference from the Seahawks. So they're both good defenses, but obviously the offense has just not looked the same. They're two different offenses. Seahawks are clearly better. Their run game's better. Unfortunately, James Conner's now out for the season. There's no click between Harrison and Kyler right now. And on the opposite side, you have JSN getting 100 yards every game. I think Sam Darnold's the third most efficient quarterback in yards per attempt. The Seahawks just look like a significantly better team right now.
Yeah.
What happened to Marvin Harrison? 10 catches on the season so far. 10. This is supposed to be an elite receiver.
I feel like he had 10 drops yesterday. At least it looks like he was scared of the ball. Yeah. All right, here's another matchup, guys, where the visiting team is favored, which is kind of surprising, but nonetheless, Minnesota Vikings visiting the Pittsburgh Steelers. Again, battle of 2-1s. Minnesota 2.5 point favorite.
It's in Ireland.
Anybody picking
Ireland,
a dog?
right?
Yep.
Ireland?
Well,
is that where it is?
It is. It is in Fast. It is in Belfast. Yes.
No, so.
But anybody going with Pittsburgh? Crickets again. Okay. Let's just go with
the Steelers get
I want to
ran
go
all
with
over.
Pittsburgh more than I wanted to go with Arizona. I'll say that.
Yeah, but I mean,
I think Kevin O'Connell's formula of no mistakes, hardcore defense, and just run the ball down. I think that the Steelers are going to have a problem keeping up. They're not going to have the ball enough. Rodgers is going to have to make a lot of stuff happen, which he always does. He probably will. It'll be a close game, but I think the Vikings are just going to play keep away and not let that happen, I think.
It's hard to pick against a team that just put up 48 points also.
Yeah.
That too. The Steelers have fewer yards than their opponents this year, and they've won games despite that. Right now, they have the most points off of turnovers. They've allowed 0 points from turnovers. So when their offense turns over the ball, it's been a heavy defensive stand, and they've allowed nothing to come of that. So a lot going in favor for them in that direction. Obviously, if you get less yards, you expect to lose, or if you get less yards and score less points on offense, you obviously expect to lose, but their defense is making up for them right now. Like you said, they're going to click more and more as the season goes, you'd imagine. But in a game against Carson Wentz and not a high-level quarterback, it's probably a situation where that could happen again, where you're going to score off of defensive points. But just the hold up on the offensive line has not been long enough for Aaron Rodgers this year.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I lied. I have another team that's on the road and favored to win, and that is the Commanders going to Atlanta and facing the Falcons. Washington's favored by 1.5. Anyone have the Falcons? Anybody picking a dog yet? All right, Caleb. Yeah, I'll do it.
Dan Quinn, revenge game. Mariota, revenge game as well, so double deuce there. I just think that the Falcons' front seven isn't terrible. I think they're going to come back. They had a bad game last week. They're at home now. They're probably all mad. They're watching film today, so they're probably fired up. And then I don't think that the Commanders are healthy enough to keep up with Drake London and Bijan, who probably won't be MIA again this game. So I think that the Falcons will win.
Yeah, I agree. The Falcons' defense is better. The skill position players are better. You just mentioned, London, Mooney, Pitts. I'll take Zach Ertz, actually. But Bijan, of course. It's just, I think this is a lot more weight on the previous game for the Falcons than it does projecting. Obviously, they're playing against an older team and a backup team right now. So I think it's closer than the line maybe suggests. I don't know how you feel, Tim, but...
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what you guys are saying. I feel like there's every week there's been at least one upset or one where like we thought it was going to go one way pretty obviously and it didn't. And I think this definitely stands a chance to be one for all the reasons you guys just said. Yeah.
I'm going with Washington. I feel like Mariota impressed me the way he was able to score. I feel like even though Washington doesn't have it all together, don't know how to use Debo, McLaurin's probably out, starting quarterback's out. We don't know what they're doing at running back. I think the Falcons are worse than that. I think they have all these pieces and they're not good. They've drafted a tight end that's been overrated for 3 years. They have a great running back that doesn't seem to get the ball enough when he needs to. And unfortunately, running backs can't come from behind. At least not enough, to make a difference. You got to throw the ball, when you're behind. Yeah, I'm going with Washington. I just don't think Arizona, there I go, misquoting again. I don't think Atlanta has what it takes, to be honest, to win consistently. All right, here's a no-brainer for you guys. Don't even need to talk about it. Biggest spread so far of the season. Buffalo's favored 16.5 over the Saints. None of us are picking the Saints. Please tell me that nobody. Okay.
But this is the game that Kamara will have 5 touchdowns or something like that.
You're not wrong.
That's how this stuff happens.
Yeah. All right, let's keep moving.
I will say it's going to be closer than the Seattle Saints game.
Okay.
Yeah.
You would imagine.
Well, yeah. All right. I don't want to spend a lot of time on that one.
Yeah.
All right. Now we have the Browns visiting the Lions. And as of recording, this is another big one. Lions are 8.5-point favorites. No Browns here. Nobody.
I mean, ask the Packers.
Yeah.
I mean, don't sleep on the Browns. I mean, the Browns had the number one defense. They have possibly the best defensive player in the league in Myles Garrett. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to just pick against them and just be like, the Lions have a better team. The Lions do have the better team, but the Packers also have the better team. And we saw what happened the other day. It does help that this one's in Detroit. This helps the Lions. And like I said, the Lions are coming off by far their best performance of the season. So I'll go with Detroit.
Yeah, I think we all agree. All right, here's a head scratcher. Looking at the line, Tennessee is going to Houston. Houston, who have had problems scoring, are 7-point favorites at the moment. 7 points. Are they going to score 7 points? Would be my question.
Defensive game.
Yeah, I don't know about this one. Anybody taking Tennessee, or what do you guys got? We got to have a little diversity here in what we think.
I think it'll be the highest scoring game of the week. Watch, but I think it'll be low scoring, defensive game. Pollard versus Chubb. It'll be old school. Just run the football, play keep away.
Josh,
this is very concerning for the Texans. Obviously, they're 0-3, but you step into a game where you've already lost within your division last week against the Jaguars. If you lose against the Titans, you're 0-4, 0-2 in your division.
You're out.
And you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose that locker room more than likely. You saw that they got rid of C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I mean, surprising because he's a talented player, but also you see all the fights and all the things that are happening. With what happened with De'Ami Brown getting injured, with Baker Mayfield, and their discussion 2 weeks ago. Now, it's just it doesn't look like they're a well put together team. And it shows, obviously, across the board. They're not scoring well. You joked saying they may not score 7 points, even though that's the line. There's no confidence there. I feel like I'm more confident that a rookie can establish himself and try his best to bounce and establish his name in a game that's in division. They're 0-3. I'll take the Titans.
Tim?
I'll go Texans only because neither of these teams excite me. Neither of these teams instill confidence at all. However, I'll say the Tennessee, from what do I have watched? So that's my disclaimer. What do I have watched from Tennessee? Very undisciplined team. Young team, but very undisciplined. They had a shot last week. I don't know if I would say they had a shot, but they had a delay a game penalty like at the most inopportune time. They just, again, I'm not saying that was the game. They lost 41-20 last week, so that clearly wasn't the game. But just way too many penalties, and I don't know, in a game that's probably going to be low scoring, I don't trust a team like that.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'll go with Houston.
Yeah, quarterback-wise, Cam Ward's been less problematic than C.J. Stroud. So it might be crazy to say that you're picking with a rookie quarterback, but he has one turnover this year through the air. C.J. Stroud has 3 interceptions. He's talk about undisciplined. I don't know what they were doing last game with C.J. Stroud. Just the picks were bad. Those fumbles forced in the red zone. I just think they're equally not ready to be a high-level team so far this year. The only problem that would deter me from picking the Titans would be Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter against Cam Ward. But Cam Ward can make plays, and he hasn't really turned over the football yet, so we will see.
All right, let's keep moving. We have Carolina Panthers visiting New England. New England are currently favored by 5.5 at home. Anybody taking the Panthers, the Carolina Panthers?
No, I think that the New England is going to terrorize them defensively. I think Christian Gonzalez is back for the first game of the year. His first game of the year. Robert Spillane's been one of the best defenders in the league so far this year. Their linebacker, I think it's going to be a rough day for the Panthers. I know I say that about a lot of teams, but it just doesn't look good.
Yeah, no, I would agree. All right, let's keep moving. We have the San Diego. Here I go again, man. I'm not even tired, y'all. I just keep saying the wrong teams. Los Angeles Chargers and the Giants. Another road team favored. 6 points. Chargers are favored. Have a heart for Dart. Good thing Khalil Mack's not playing because I don't think he has a heart for Dart. Yeah, nobody taking the Giants here, Tim.
Nope. No, not at all. Nope.
I was gonna say I know you too well to say you're gonna take.
Yeah. Nope.
All right, let's talk about this one. This one, I'm curious. This could be some diversity here. Philadelphia Eagles are visiting the Tampa Bay Bucks. Philly's only favored by 3. That's a surprise to me. 3.5. It went up since.
Yeah, I'll take this one first. I like Tampa Bay, and let me tell you why I like Tampa Bay. I think they're getting Wirfs back. They're getting Godwin back possibly this week. Some key pieces of their team. They've been able to hang. They had a tough game against the Jets, and I know it's the Jets, but still they had a tough game, and they showed some resolve there. And go back a half hour ago in our podcast when we talked about all the issues with Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a good team. No one's arguing they're not a good team. They are a good team. But just that inconsistency on offense and those numbers they put up last week against a good Rams team. Now they're facing another good team on the road in Tampa Bay. I like Tampa Bay in this one.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Tim. I think that the defense for the Bucks is really good. Winfield, Servassier, and then Levante David are going to be all over that run game. I think it's going to be rough for the Eagles to run on them, and they're going to force them to throw, which sounds silly. But I think I like Baker Mayfield in the shootout much more than Jalen Hurts, even without Mike Evans.
Josh?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Eagles. I like, they really, obviously they established their passing game for the first time this year last week. I think this is an easier matchup against this cornerback room. You have 2 rookies starting for the Bucks, despite them being, talented rookies, Jacob Parrish, Benjamin Morrison. That's still not ideal matchups for, the receivers, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, of course. There's a problem as far as coverage goes for their inside linebackers. Levante David's older. Servassier Dennis is a little bit slower of an athlete. Both great run defenders, both very solid there, but I think they're going to be able to expose the zone behind the interior linebackers, or inside linebackers rather. And then, of course, Baker Mayfield without Mike Evans really hasn't established Cade Otton so far this year, but these are the games which they were going to use him. And you're going to see a lot more Sterling Shepard and heavy reliance on Emeka Ibuka. So this is a big change for them. I think the Eagles, they're going to have to do less or against the teams that they've played. They're going to have to do less against the Bucks than they did in the previous matchups to win this one.
Yeah, I'm going Philly too. I just, again, I don't know how to evaluate them. I'm looking at a team that may be better than the Bucks. I don't know. All right, here's one I think we're going to get some difference of opinion on. As of right now, yet another team being favored, and this is the Indianapolis Colts visiting the LA Rams. They're favored by 3.5. Colts are favored. Anybody taking Rams? Anyone taking Colts? I mean, I'll tell you, I am picking the Colts as in an upset. I got it wrong. I'm sorry. I read it completely backwards. Rams are, in fact, 3.5 point favorites. Rams are 3.5 point favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rams are 3.5 point favorites.
Yeah, Rams. I like Puka and Devontae Adams more than I like Michael Pittman and Josh Downs.
Well,
I like John Taylor more than Kyren Williams, but I think the quarterback play is going to be on display here. I think it's going to be a high scoring game. Both defenses are really solid. The Rams, I think, are top 5, maybe. They have been, secondary at least. So maybe Jonathan Taylor has to run 25 times, which, I don't know. I feel better with Matt Stafford than I do Daniel Jones right now.
Tim, let me ask you and Josh parallel questions. I'm going to start with you, Tim, so Josh, you'll imagine the answer or the question I'm going to ask you. What does it mean if the Colts win this game, Tim?
The Colts win this game, it means they are for real. I really do think that. I think this would be everything I said earlier. I'd have to walk that back a little bit because I'm not convinced wins. I'm not impressed by wins over Miami and wins eking out a win over Denver and who they just beat yesterday. I don't remember the other day. Nobody. Who
Titans?
they beat? Tennessee. They beat Tennessee.
Nobody.
If they can beat the Rams in LA, it shows they're for real.
Josh, I'm going to ask you the parallel question. What does this mean for the Rams if they beat Indianapolis?
I think the Rams have proven themselves to be a top-level team. I think they should be highly considered. They have a very good defense, like Caleb mentioned. They're number one in sacks right now. And it's not just their edge rushers. Their interior defensive line gets sacks. Their linebackers are there. They're making plays on the ball, forced fumbles from Nate Landman. I just had to say it for Caleb.
Yeah.
They have ball hawks. They have Cam Curl, Cam Kinchins, all those guys back there. Other than the hole that we mentioned with the Eagles game, with Forbes and Williams, they are very stout there. You mentioned everyone knows the wide receiver duo. Their run game is top 10. I think they're 9th between the two backs right now, and Kyron really hasn't done much, really. But if you look at who they've lost to, I think their last 10 games are going back to last year. The only team they've lost to is the Philadelphia Eagles. And so they lost in the regular season, they lost in the playoffs, and they lost in the regular season again this year. Otherwise, they're doing very well. So it seems like the Philadelphia Eagles are their kryptonite. And I think we should be looking at them as a top-level team despite the failures they've had against the Eagles.
Touche. All right, let's keep moving, guys. I didn't get your picks. Who's got Colts? Anybody?
No.
Nobody.
Nope.
Ooh, crickets
Not for
again.
me.
All right. Is this game significant at all? Jacksonville is visiting San Francisco. Yeah. San Fran's favored at home by 3 points.
It's important. Both divisions, they're on opposite sides of it, but both of them are very close.
Jacksonville 2-1.
They could get ahead in their
3-0.
division, and 49ers could fall behind with the Seattle game on Thursday. So,
who you guys got? Quickly.
I like Jacksonville.
Jacksonville, I agree.
I agree.
Brian Thomas, get right game.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
The old get right game.
Yeah.
Too many injuries for San Francisco. Too many. Yeah. At a certain point, you can't sustain that. These are big name people that they're losing out on.
Nick Bosa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Here's a game, folks. Go ahead. You got a point.
I wanted to clarify what I said with the Eagles versus Rams thing. Is the Rams did lose to the Seahawks last year, but they lost to the Eagles in the playoffs, and the Eagles this year, and then the Seahawks as well. But they did put up like 44 points against the Bills at the end of last season, and they took care of business otherwise. I think once again the Lions and the Eagles are the only problem for the Rams the last year and this month so far.
All right, I read it wrong last time. I got it right this time. Baltimore is heading into a game with the Chiefs where they are favored on the road at 3 points. Baltimore's favored by 3. That is so weird because Kansas City is hard to beat in Arrowhead. I'm still going with the home team. I'm going with the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs at 1-2 feel more desperate than the Ravens at 1-2 to me. Maybe it's because of all the hype. They're both equally in trouble. I mean, no team wants to go 1-3. I'm going Chiefs. I'm not buying the points or the. What do you got, Caleb?
I'm going to go Ravens. I think if you just go down positions on the roster, quarterbacks you could argue wash. Lamar's more dangerous against the Chiefs because the Chiefs got beat by Jalen Hurts already this year. The mobile quarterback, it's hard to maintain for anybody. But you look at tight ends; they both have older tight ends that are kind of washed up, other than Mark Andrews' resurrection last week. Run games, Derrick Henry and Lamar are marginally better. Offensive line, they're both kind of banged up, but wash.
You said
whatever.
marginally. You mean a lot better.
Yeah, sorry.
Substantially better. Okay, yeah,
substantially. Yeah.
Oof.
Anyway, defenses very close. So I'm going to have to go offense in this game. I think the Ravens are the better offense. I don't think the Chiefs can match what they do with Tyquan Thornton, old Travis Kelce, and then the 3 running backs they're peddling out there. I just don't think it's sustainable.
Tim, who you got?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I have notes written here, and Caleb said almost everything I have written down here. My concerns, you got Tyquan Thornton, you got Brashard Smith as your rookie running back. I look at Baltimore's second game of the season, their bounce back game after they lost that devastating game to Buffalo, how they bounce back. And I have a feeling this is a similar type of game. I want to see how they respond after a tough loss to Detroit, and I think they're going to bounce back. I think they are the better team. I don't like that they're on the road, but I find it so hard to see this Baltimore Ravens team 1-3. I know it's hard to see the Chiefs 1-3 also, but the Chiefs, just when you go up and down their roster, the Ravens are the better team.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Ravens win this game. Well, Lamar Jackson, he has the most yards per attempt in the NFL. He also has 9 passing touchdowns to 0 interceptions. Derrick Henry, despite the fumbles, talk about somebody that wants to play well. Derrick Henry, you saw what he did when he fumbled in this game. He was just geeking out on the sideline, and deservedly so because of how many times he's fumbled. He's top 5 in rushing. This defense, despite the struggles they've had with, the first game against the Bills and then this last game against the Lions, we're talking about the Bills and the Lions. We're not talking about random teams here.
Yeah.
So, I think the Ravens are a better team. They have a better quarterback at this point in time. I'm not talking about, general talent, but this season right now, undisputed, way better run game, way better quarterback, and their defense I would choose over the Chiefs as well. So I think the Ravens, while while they have 2 losses, it's against the Bills and the Lions, and that needs to be added to the context of that.
All right, 4 more games. Let's move quickly. The next game up is Chicago visiting the Raiders. Again, Chicago 1.5 point favored visiting the Raiders. Who do you guys got?
Chicago. Yeah.
Josh?
I'm going to say Chicago as well. Geno Smith, yes, he's second in passing in the NFL, and that's awesome. But he has 4 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. He gets too mumuch pressure on him. The running game is producing only. I mean, they would have no rushing yards this year if it wasn't Ashton Genty running the football. It's a mess. They're well coached. They're a team that can play well against anybody. I believe that, but I just don't think it's enough to match Caleb Williams. I mean, we saw what Mariota was able to do to him. Imagine what Caleb Williams could do. Bears.
Tim?
I can't pick the Bears. I'm a Packers fan. No, I got to go Raiders here. I actually think this is the Ashton Genty breakout game. The offensive line was so bad last week. They can't be worse, right? And they are matched up against I think they have a better matchup this week against that Bears defensive line. I think. I say things with confidence sometimes, and then they come back to bite me. But I liked the Raiders in this one. Again, you look at Chicago, and you talk about you're not sure how to predict Philly, Dave, you were saying, but I don't know how to predict Chicago. I don't know who they are yet. I thought they were terrible the first week, and then, I'm not sure. It's still too early in the season to really know who the Chicago Bears are.
All right, we're not spending any time on this next game because I know the answer, and I think everyone in America knows the answer. Sunday Night Football, Green Bay Packers visiting the Dallas Cowboys. Who cares what the spread is? Green Bay wins. Green Bay wins. Green Bay wins. 7 points.
Oh, wow.
Micah Parsons, revenge game.
There's no revenge. There's nothing to prove. You have a beat up Cowboys team that doesn't have it figured out versus a perennial Super Bowl contender in Green Bay. It's an easy. Everyone in America should be picking Green Bay right now.
And a bounce back for the Packers.
Bounce back. All right, here's
Rashawn
one.
Gary, man. Watch Rashawn Gary. He's up to 4.5 sacks this year so far, thanks to Micah. So he could be one to watch.
Is it in Lambeau?
No, it's in Dallas. It's in Dallas.
Same thing.
I won't be watching this game because I already know. And, when I already know, why do I even need to put myself through it?
All I want is George Pickens to hit his, 5 catches, 68 yards, and a touchdown that he's done 2 weeks in a row.
Hey,
I'll be happy with that. This is a duck, by the way. Sorry, I've been playing with it.
No, you're fine. Play with your duck. I'm not going to lie, though. If the daddy puts it together and Pickens goes off and beats Green Bay, it'll be like stupid. It'll just be
Stop
dumb.
calling him that.
It shouldn't happen. Okay, let's talk about Jets.
You gotta call Jordan Love Daddy after this game.
Why?
If he beats
throwing around the term.
Yeah, we've been throwing that around for years until y'all threw me under the bus last week.
No.
Okay, Jets and Dolphins, guys. This should be a win for the Jets. Finally.
Why is this a primetime game?
Because
someone
it's the
said
Jets
this
and
should have been
Dolphins.
flexed to Tuesday at 4:30 a.m. I saw a meme that said.
This is like one of those
Oh, my
afternoon
gosh.
baseball games. Like no one's watching.
Right,
This.
exactly.
Like, what are
Like,
you doing?
who's
1 p.m.
watching this?
on a Wednesday. Yeah.
I mean, if Justin Fields is back, I haven't really looked into that. I think you take the Jets. I think they have a better run game, and that's not saying a lot at this point in time, despite the names. I'll take the
If
Jets.
it's a game I don't want. What day is this? A Monday.
It's
Monday.
a Monday night. It's the
a game
early
I don't want
game.
to hear Joe Buck talk about. Is this game specifically? I'd rather watch it on
I don't
mute,
know if Joe
think.
gets this one or if he gets the next one, which we're going to
There's
talk
two of
about.
them. There's
Bengals
two of
and,
them.
and Broncos. Bengals and Broncos. They're
That game
early
I
birds.
would love to watch.
Yeah.
Well, really, because they don't have a starting quarterback.
That's great. I want to see Bo Nix do some things.
Yeah, I mean, this should be the game that Bo Nix, gets back on top. And by the way, Miami's favored at 3 by 3 at home. Denver is favored by 7.5 at home.
Why are we blessed with another Dolphins primetime game?
I'm so tired of the Dolphins.
Yeah, the Jets should be 2-1. The Jets should be 2-1, and so that would be a totally different.
They played well.
There. Yeah, they have played well.
Meanwhile, Aaron
We can't
Glenn's
really say that
in New
about
York
the
trying to
Dolphins.
tell everybody they're not the same old Jets, but then they're they're 0-3.
Yeah.
So it's
I love what they're doing.
I do like what they're doing. They are, yeah.
I mean, their culture has shifted.
Talk about a team that needs to exhibit patience. They're doing things the opposite the way the Giants are. The Giants, to me, are more of a train wreck of an organization right now than the Jets, believe it or not. The Jets always have, they're giving Aaron Glenn, we know you're not going to win a Super Bowl this year. We're giving you a time frame. Let's build this the right way, and let's do it the right way. Sorry, go ahead, Dave.
No, I'm listening. I agree. I think it's rough that he has to. I see the culture shift. I see it.
Yeah.
I may not see it in the record, but I see it.
Right.
I like the things that he's doing. I'm a fan. I can't say they're going to win football games, but they're changing the culture. As in, remember when Miami was tanking for Tua, and now they're just bad.
Now they're just Tua.
Yeah, that's just it.
Now it's just too much to handle. Like I can't watch these games with a good, clean conscience anymore. All right, guys, we're wrapping. Any takeaways? Any thoughts? Anything stick out? I'm Tim. I hate to say it. I won't be watching Sunday Night Football, so I'll congratulate you ahead of time.
Man, you got to watch the games, man. The game scares me. The Cowboys are a good team. You have a good team, but
how about we all come to your house?
Okay, that's fine. Party at my house. I might be crying by the end of it.
No, you will not.
And then the Packers have a Week 5 bye. How terrible is that? What team wants a Week 5 bye? We just got started.
So you can have 12 more weeks of grueling football.
Right? Isn't that crazy?
So, I did have something to bring up. Patriots, Panthers. I know it's awesome. They just dropped 30 against the Falcons. But like Caleb mentioned, Christian Gonzalez coming back. He's a high-end cornerback. He's going to follow Tetaroa McMillan. You look at the receiving yardage leaders for the Panthers this year outside of Tetaroa McMillan. He has 216. There's Jatavian Sanders, a tight end, Chuba Hubbard, a running back, Hunter Renfrow with 65, a man I've never heard of in my life, Bryson Tremaine. I've never even seen him. Maybe I did see him. That was the guy, some buzz cut guy.
But Jatavian's out for 2 to 3 weeks with a calf injury.
So you're looking at a number one receiver going to get shadowed by Christian Gonzalez, and then your second best receiver was not playing football last year, and then your supposed should be number 2 receiver this year, Xavier Legette, has 8 yards on the season. So they might not pass the ball well at all against the Patriots.
Hey, Bryce Young said Xavier Legette is a luxury. You know what that word means? It means he's not needed. So
8 yards and 3
how
yards.
he feels about him.
Oh, yeah.
This might be the first week, guys, where I've lone Wolfjaw like 5 times in a row. Like I've got so many picks y'all don't have, and up until last week, I was crushing. Like I think I got 1 wrong in week 2. Yeah, and I got like 2 wrong in week 1. Not so good this week. Only got 9 right.
I wish the games that I picked that I missed on were just blowouts, but instead it's the Broncos barely losing to the Chargers and the Rams blowing a lead of an Eagles. It's just sad. I'd rather get blown out.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll be honest. I don't know. Maybe Jets Dolphins is like the most compelling football we've ever seen. Because so far, let's be fair, most of these games that they've put on primetime have absolutely been worth watching. Most of them have been.
A lot of them have told us something we need to know, like J.J. McCarthy's terrible at football, but
yeah.
Glad we got those ones out of the way.
I'm glad we got that out of the way. Jeez.
I think we, knowing what we've said off air, have been very kind about J.J. McCarthy because
national champion J.J. McCarthy.
Well, we spent a lot of time, mostly you guys, but you shared a lot of your time with me pointing out that J.J. McCarthy may not have the football skills that he needs. And
that's fine. I'm sure he's a nice person. I don't care.
100%.
I mean, he's not a good football player. That's fine. Whatever. That's what we're talking about, football. So whatever.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And as much as, every year I go into this thinking Kyler Murray should go play baseball, you guys always correct me on that. But I don't think, Caleb, let's close with this. Lots of key injuries. I mentioned the Cowboys are a couple men down, but I know you have some guys that we were talking about off air that I don't think I gave you a chance to talk about that are impact players.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we talked about it. Lamb's out. Probably going to go IR. That's 2 to 4 weeks, so he might go IR. McLaurin's doubtful to play, quad injury. Tyrone Tracy might go IR, shoulder dislocation. Hopefully he finds it. James Conner, unfortunately, nasty injuries, done for the year. He's 30. He might be losing his job there. I believe it's his contract year too. He's up there in age for running back. So hopefully he can come back and be a backup somewhere, but not looking good for him. Najee, Achilles, he's 27. No one's ever come back from that other than J.K. Dobbins. It's successfully picked up right where they left off. So hopefully, Najee, wishing you well. Juwan Jennings, I put everything. He has like 20 injuries. Centers are all banged up. He has like a calf, a back, a neck, a finger, a thumb on a different hand, a foot. Anyway. And he has an incentive-based contract, so they're going to wheel him out there in a wheelchair if he has to. Xavier Worthy has practiced all last week. Shoulder
After
injury.
running into his own tight end.
Friendly fire. He practiced all last week and they shut him down. Yeah. He might play. He might not play. We don't know. It's Andy Reid. Mike Evans, 2 to 3 weeks. They're saying hamstring.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not that bad. Evan Ingram, he's been dealing with a calf injury all offseason. Hurt his back last week. He's still out. Zach Charbonnet has a foot injury. He got shut down last week. We don't know the extent of that yet still. Diami Brown got headhunted by C.J. Gardner-Johnson, which Josh mentioned. That's probably why they cut him. Shoulder injury. And then, obviously, this isn't fantasy relevant, but Nick Bosa, torn ACL. Massive blow for that team.
Yeah.
So, a lot of injuries.
The NFL. All these are huge losses. As fans of I know we all have our team, but we just love watching good players play. And this sucks when these guys, we're only at week 3 or week 4, and all these guys, you're talking major injuries for a lot of these guys.
He has 12 new ones this week. It's just not.
Yeah.
Well, no, and I know every week we have a friend that asks us, or doesn't ask. They're like, "Hey, a lot of injuries this year," and I'm like, "No more than normal." The next week, a lot of injuries, no more than normal. Yes, there's a lot of injuries this week.
How many quarterbacks have been injured so far? Purdy, McCarthy, Justin Fields, Jaden Daniels,
Burrow,
right? Burrow, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's like 5-6 starters out, and it's week 3.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson.
Yeah, Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson.
He's butt hurt. There's a difference. Yeah, he's hurt. He's got a heart for Dart. That's a great way to close, with a heart for Dart. Hey, I'll say this about that decision. I agree. We've said this before. You got Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston for a reason. Let this kid sit. You're not going to win Super Bowl. You're probably not going to make the playoffs. Yep. You're probably going to fire your coach. There's a lot of probablys with this team that are not in a favorable direction.
Those all sound sure fire.
Yeah, let's sit the kid. Let him learn football at a high level from 2 veteran guys. While he has a chance. So I think we all agreed that they would start him at some point. We talked about the Saints in week 1, that'd be a good matchup if they're going to start a guy against a team. Yeah, but I think they're jumping the gun too. So hey, I have a heart for Dart. I think he's a great kid. By the way, I love his little stripe. You know what it is, Caleb? Did you hear why he does the face paint the way he does?
No.
Paying homage to Anakin Skywalker.
Ah.
That's why I have a heart for Dart, because that's pretty
Don't tell
cool.
me that.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
He-
That's an Anakin scar. I think it's awesome, actually.
He's gonna get murdered this week.
He'll have real scars this week.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, or nightmares. Yeah, because like I said, they better be glad Khalil Mack's not playing, which he's another one who's hurt, by the way. I saw him in a full arm cast, oh well. Either way, I'll take football with gimpy and hurt players over no football, and it's turned out to be great. It's turned out to be some very unique,
Unpredictable.
Yeah.
Man, as long as we get more stuff like San Diego, here we go again. I need to do push-ups.
take a nap.
I need to take a nap. It's getting late. As long as we have games like Chargers, Broncos, which we get twice a year, I think we're going to have a great season. I think things are checking out. So, hey, I'll say it again. Make sure and like and subscribe. Help us out. We're available on podcasts. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, on Spotify, Apple, anywhere at all. So check us out there as well. And you can find us anywhere on social media at Guys Without Helmets. Guys, it's great as always. I look forward to, as you said, Tim, seeing how wrong we are next week. Back up a little bit. Take a step back. They can't quite see it. Got the Wentz. There you go.
Carson Wentz.
I wish we had something clever like heart for Dart we could say for Wentz, but we don't. With that, I bid you guys good night. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks again for tuning in, everybody.